Well, by golly, okay, I'll call this meeting to order, and we will proceed to publicly heard.
Zero.
Zero, what have you got to say? Well, that's a mouthful.
None.
Okay, we'll go to presentations. Tree committee, Mr. Cohen. Oh, announcements, oh, excuse me, jump the agenda, announcements.
I am unalterably opposed to the idea of spending money, any money, for, to hire a firm to help the town update its comprehensive plan. Absolutely opposed to it. And to say this as briefly as I can, last Tuesday afternoon, we had a meeting here, and the resolution for the Comprehensive Plan Committee has been updated, and I wanted to share that with you. It was resolved to appoint 7 solid citizens to work on selecting one of the RFPs. That was the original intent. And we have added on to that, or if it would be in the town's best interest to use local resources to assist with updating the comprehensive plan. So, on the one hand, I am looking for a few people, 5 or 6 or 7, members of the town who would volunteer to help bring the comprehensive plan of 2003, it's not that old. I don't believe there's that much work to be done to bring that up to date. The town board will have to do an executive summary in order to help complete that. So again, if people are interested, please contact the clerk's office, leave your name, phone number, so that I can contact everybody and set up a meeting to do that. Tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, the original 7-member committee is meeting here. I intend to come and talk with them about this new development, that we are not necessarily looking only for a selection of the 5, in my mind, very expensive proposals. Well, I think the bottom one was $65K and the top was $125K. We can do it without spending any money, saving the town of Woodstock and all of us as taxpayers a lot of money, and having the pride of doing something very important for ourselves without needing to hire a company to tell us what to do. If the most recent comp plan were not that recent, I might have different feelings about this. But it's 2003, and a lot of the work has already been done. The Woodstock inventory, which is required, and one of the persons who worked on that inventory is Irish York, who graces our presence right now. And it's not as though we're looking into a yawning hole of work that needs to be done. A great deal has already been done, and so again, I'm looking for people to volunteer, and I'm sure all town board members will work to help prior to us, the town board, fulfilling the responsibility of making the executive summary.
You know, Jay, right before you go, just if I may. Just a couple of things I want to correct. First of all, the impression that the last comprehensive plan update was completed in 2003, that's incorrect. It was formally submitted to the town board in 2003. It was actually written in 1999. It was written in the last century. So I just want everybody to get a better idea of when that document was actually constructed. Number two, if I understand you correctly, you are not objecting to updating the comprehensive plan, you are objecting to spending any money on it, is that correct?
Correct.
So it's just the issue of whether or not we spend money on this or not. That's really the question on the table.
Yeah,
Okay. Now, you are unalterably opposed to spending a minimum of $65,000. What if it were less than that? Are you still unalterably, what if it were less than that? Would you still be unalterably opposed?
I am
And the reason, you
opposed.
don't have to answer, I'm just saying, I asked that rhetorically, because I think that were we to sit down with a company recommended by this committee, one of the first things that I would want to do is negotiate the price, because I do think that the town did a great deal of the work for them. We practically wrote the document for them. All we didn't write were the recommendations.
My point.
And what is, yes, I agree. So, and my point, that I think that all of these prices are something to be negotiated. I wouldn't just say, oh, it's you, and here's your $65,000, or whoever it is that selected, thank you very much. So, because remember, these were all estimates. These weren't firm prices. They were all estimated.
Well,
So, wait, let me finish. So, I do agree that it does seem to be like a big chunk of money, but I'm not absolutely certain that that would be the final chunk of money. Because again, I think the town already did a lot of this work. Now, to the last point as to why I think it's necessary, is because, yes, I know we represent a very intelligent community. However, to assemble all these into a community of views, a consanguinity of mind at least, I think it's almost an impossible task. I think that there's some outside referee that's got to direct the discussion, or the discussion will simply meander from now until the end of time. And which I wouldn't mind. I don't mind discussions in the town of Woodstock meandering till the end of time. We waited 30 years to build a highway garage, so that's cool. And a new town hall, revamped community center. It just went on for decades and decades, and we all seem to somehow survive it. But what I think is really needed right now is a real, total, complete, unbiased reach to the community about what they want this town to look like. And what, in my opinion, and I agree this is just my own, and maybe the community feels entirely different than I do on this subject, but I think that we are under a great threat from the so-called shared economy. I really deeply believe that. I think this town is just going to simply go out from under our feet if we don't expertly and smartly and swiftly address it. And we just see a communication that, the purpose of a comprehensive plan is to develop a zoning law, and that may be true. But the purpose of an update to the comprehensive plan, which is what we're talking about, is to update our zoning law, so that the zoning law can more effectively reflect what the sentiment of the community is. I agree that we have the resources within our town to do all this, but I don't think that we're going to have the focus, and that's just my opinion. So I am unalterably in favor of spending some kind of money on a comprehensive plan update. Mr.
well,
Could
No, let Billy talk, and then you can.
Well,
Yes, and then Laura's going to, then Kathy's going to pipe in. And we're going to begin a conversation that will go on.
I guess my point is moot then, but I was going to recommend that we table this conversation, let the committee, out of respect for the committee, let them do their job, come back. They may recommend what you're proposing, Jay, and this whole argument is for naught. But I hope that we could let them do their work and then see where that goes, and we'll know in a week or two. And then we can have this huge debate, and we should have a big debate. So that's my piece.
Yes, Laura.
okay. A couple of points. One, speaking of meandering plans, the last approved plan, I believe, was that the 65 plan?
62.
Yeah, so the 2003 plan was never approved. So it is in fact a meandering plan. The 2003 plan was never approved. It never came to closure.
Well, it was never adopted. About 90% of its recommendations
was done.
were adopted.
Correct, but it was not adopted. And on my time on the planning board, we had the dilemma of, we're instructed to follow the last approved, town board approved plan, comprehensive plan. So it's not good if you have, things can be ended, but it's good with the comprehensive plan, get it done right, get it done. I agree with the professional approach, because I think that a professional will see things that we might miss. We're full of smart people, but a professional will have the focus, and a professional may see things, they may offer ideas we didn't think of, because we're seeing the trees, not the forest. So I see value of having a professional. I worry about your plan to go to the meeting tomorrow of this committee of 7, and pardon me for putting words in your mouth, but push the idea of, oh, we can choose none of these. I would really like the committee of 7 to go with their own thinking without having ideas already, seeded in them. I'd like to have them go fresh, look at the 4 proposals, and if they come back and say, we're not happy with any, I'd rather have it be a second conversation to say, hey, you don't have to pick one if you don't want to. I worry about that being a first conversation, because I don't want to lead them in a direction. We picked 7 great people, and I don't want to lead them in a direction. So I think I would be hesitant to offer too much tomorrow at their first meeting about, you don't have to pick any, because I don't think we should lead them in a direction.
Just to clarify, that was our resolution last week when we passed it.
That's one of their options.
It is one of their options is to come back and say, we've reviewed all the plans and we
Right.
feel that it should be done
But
in-house.
for Jay to go to the meeting and push that as an idea worries me.
I looked over, very seriously looked over 2 of the 4 proposed plans. A lot of the things in the plan, we have already accomplished. For example, they want us to look over the vision of bicycles and parks and trails. Well, we've done a lot of trails and things through the Como property. They wanted us to look over the zoning law for the Airbnbs specifically. We've already sent that zoning law out to the attorneys, have gotten a report that the zoning law is pretty good. It needs a little tweaking, and we can work with it. We just have to enforce it. They talk about getting grants. Well, Jeremy got us a major grant for the community center without a comprehensive plan. It doesn't mean I don't think we need one. We do need a comprehensive plan. We need to push the town into a more solid position to have a comprehensive plan. Just what I felt though when I was reading over the plans was a lot of what we're paying these companies for, we've accomplished already. So let's try and look at a plan or look at a company that won't charge us hundreds of hours to get information on stuff that we've already got information on, and try and cut down the price.
Well, I think that's what Jeremy suggested.
Yeah, I'm just saying, well, I'm giving my opinion.
I agree.
So, as I looked at it, I was like, well, we did the zoning, and they want to do that, and we did the natural resources, and we looked at how much of the center of town we have left, which is not that much, to do projects, and we've completed projects like the town hall, the community center, the parks. We're looking at the parking lot. I mean, I think this board is known for getting things done. We've gotten a lot of projects done, and I think we will also get this comprehensive plan done. I just couldn't see spending, as they kind of mapped it out here, how many hundreds and thousands of dollars on things that we already kind of have ready. So I think maybe we could get one of these companies to relook at what they're charging us for and say, you've already done the first $12,900 worth of work here, so let's... Well, we got 4 proposals.
Those are from the company.
Yes, these are the 4 proposals, and, in the proposal it will say, how many hours for the planning process and how many for the landscape architect. So there's a lot of things we've done, so I think we can cut back on the hours, but I do think we need some kind of professional plan to help us, because as much as we have gotten a lot done this board, it's a lot of work to do this. It takes a lot of hours, and I think we do need the assistance of a professional company.
And I imagine that if they come back with a proposal for next company, I'm sorry, Jen, you go ahead. A through 4D.
Well, several points. Jeremy, I think that you put a gloss on the possibility of, or probabilities of getting a lower estimate or fee or whatever. I am not in favor of dealing with that. I am unalterably opposed to hiring anybody. Now, there may be alternatives. For instance, the Airbnb thing, which is a large and growing and serious issue for all of us. I don't see why we can't have people at work on that issue now in the zoning. There's no reason why we can't.
But which way?
Pardon?
But which way?
Which way?
Which way?
Encourage it, discourage it, regulate it, ban it? What?
In terms of presenting language to us that we can choose that will deal with the issue.
But how do we know that that's going to reflect the community's views? We have our views, but what's the community's view?
I don't think that every detail that is in the zoning has gone before the public in the past. Also, comprehensive plans are not entirely utilized, not. And which is another reason to be wary of getting involved with an expense like this. I, at this point, will not vote at any time that I can see to hire a company. I will not get in the way of preventing the town from moving ahead, but I will at least abstain. Now, another crucial issue in terms of, hey, B&B is facing us, traffic and parking. They are killing us right now. There are other issues too. And we can in-house deal with that, traffic and parking, just as we can deal with any issue that we know or hear is threatening the future of Woodstock.
Well, since you identified traffic and parking, which I agree, right next to shared economy, I think is right up there as a concern. Now, I'm going to express a personal view. My personal view is that we do absolutely nothing. Because I think that the whole business core of our town is saturated. The alternative is to expand parking, make more parking lots, make the boulevards wider, put in traffic lights, traffic controls, all these kinds of things to facilitate traffic flow, and just basically blow all the charm out of our village. Now, I've expressed a personal view, but I don't know what the community feels. Maybe the community feels, you know what, I just want to get through that damn town in 5 minutes rather than 50. And I do want them to expand the boulevards and make more parking lots and put up traffic control, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know what the community feels. This is the whole point of the comprehensive plan process. It brings the entire community into these questions. It's modeled, it's even required to do as much outreach to the community, including surveys, to take the community's temperature on what people want the town to look like 10 years from now, which is, by the way, the objective of the comprehensive plan. So you've identified another very important issue, which I have a personal opinion about, but I think it's time to reach out to, in order to be effective, to do anything about traffic and parking, whether it's everything or nothing, I think really depends on what the community at large feels about traffic and parking.
I agree that I don't want to see boulevards and so forth. Over 24 years ago, I was saying that we needed a programmable, forgive me, town traffic light at the intersection in the middle of town. Or we need to have a trained person there to direct traffic, at least on the weekends. We did have that there. It was tried for a year or two. For whatever reasons, it didn't work out. That does not mean that we can't do more. And parenthetically, I just heard yesterday that the Chamber of Commerce is going to approach us to remove the $5 parking fee at the Rock City Road parking lot. They've said that, and I don't remember this, that at the time the fee was installed, that it was in order to pay for the lot itself or whatever. And that's been paid for over and over again, and now we're using the money illegally or immorally. I, as you know, want to extend the payments to the Mountain View parking lot.
Gee, I see a middle ground here. I see a middle ground here.
Just leave it alone.
Raise the fee.
My point being that the commercial district asks for a lot. And in my opinion, they give back very little. They would like to have the public bathrooms open 24/7, 365 days. I have not seen anybody come forward and say, gee, we appreciate what the town is doing here. Let us make a small contribution. You know, never, never, never.
Well, I'm not sure where it came from the community, but there was some funding given to our so-called beautification fund. I'm sure the businesses lent some to that. Number one. Number two, I would hesitate to say that the business community offers us nothing, because whenever I go to a cultural event, I'm very often handed a brochure, and there's advertisements from many of our businesses in town supporting the endeavor. So yes, it's very true that perhaps they don't put money right into the town coffer, but I do think that they do put money into events and festivals that are very important to the town, sustaining our culture and sustaining our reputation. So I'm not quite as critical of the contributions of the business community as you are. However, having said that, I will say, yes, Mr. and Mrs. Willow, the metaphysical people in my mind who I think about whenever we're going to spend money, I'm sure question things like, well, gosh, you know, we're funding a public bathroom, we're funding litter, somebody's keeping up all the public facilities in the town. Two public bathrooms, that's right, the town hall.
Which is open
And
24/7.
plus, you know, because of all the economic activity, it does increase the need for police protection. So who's paying for all this? Well, Mr. and Mrs. Willow are certainly paying for some of it. My personal feeling about it is and let Mr. and Mrs. Willow speak up. I think we've sort of come to a balance in the stasis. I don't see rocking the boat in any big way. I certainly don't see opening the bathrooms 24 hours, you know, for
Other than
year
what's
round.
enough now.
I mean, I do see hanging a sign saying public bathrooms at town hall and giving them an arrow, but keeping them open through the winter, no, that's not reasonable at all. And yes, it is true that back in 1992, when the town board bought the parking lot for $150,000 on a 10-year note, they said that, okay, we'll charge whatever it was, $2, I believe, until that note is paid. And yours truly came along, paid like the very last payment on that bond. But then, again, trying to find some balance and some stasis that, you know what, I mean, the taxpayer's spending an awful lot of money keeping the center of the town safe and pretty. And I think that $5 out of the town, and it doesn't come out of residents' pockets, by the way, because they can come to the town clerk's office and get a little sticker for the car, let them park for free.
Yes.
But I think for the privilege of coming to the town of Woodstock and visiting our very fine shops and restaurants, I think $5 is a very reasonable fee.
Go to Cape Cod and Provincetown, I mean, it's
a lot.
It's a lot.
Well, go to
It's
Kingston, for God's sake.
$15,
So
$20.
the Chamber of Commerce is going to talk to us about our fee. What about Kingston? I have to pay to park on the streets of Kingston.
Right.
I mean, they're in Ulster County too, so I did, you know. Anyway,
So I did have my hand up before,
Yes.
back to the comp plan.
Mhm.
I imagine that if this committee comes back with a recommendation to move forward with one of these companies, that the resolution that would be put forth by this board would not be authorizing the supervisor to sign it, but to authorize him to negotiate. And Jay, this is where you could be helpful, because if we could put together a crackerjack committee to work with this company, we may say, well, listen, we can do A, B, C, and D, you take care of H, I, and J, and we'll have a plan.
Jay?
Anyway, I don't see that we're gonna be going out and paying the proposal. It's a start of a negotiation.
We shall see.
It's a start.
Yeah, because just another thing they talk about charging us for is setting up town meetings to talk to the public and see what the public wants. Well, my
We can
gosh,
set them up.
we've done that, how many times that we've set up meetings with the public to find out what they wanted for the community center, for town hall, for everything. So why not set up the meetings themselves and bring the public in? I mean, right there, we can save quite a few $1,000s. There's plenty of places in these plans to save money,
Right.
so.
Yeah, good, excellent.
And I think we all agree that the comp plan should be updated. So I mean, we're unanimous there, I think.
I mean, if you didn't do such a good job getting us $250,000, I would have thought we really need it for grants, but.
Beginner's luck.
Hypothetically, one of the things that we could do with money saved is to get printers in the town offices that will print 2 sides of a page.
We have
We
it.
have them.
Not over there,
Press the button.
Yeah,
not over
for my office,
the
yeah,
other
we both
office.
sides. Yeah,
Uh-uh.
it does.
I asked Carrie to do it, and she said it doesn't do it.
It's cumbersome, it clanks like an old train, but it'll do
Do
it.
you want to read your letter? It's more in line with what you're.
I know, he and I've talked.
Okay, so do you want to read it?
Oh my God, you did?
He just gave me.
You know, why don't we hold off on that?
I mean, this is-
We can make letters public, but I just,
gonna be a link.
when do we, this was a wonderful conversation.
All right, yeah, I think we should hold off on.
Could I ask a question on this conversation?
Absolutely not.
I really don't blame you.
For not allowing you to ask a question?
Yes.
Now I'm intrigued, come on.
Well, you kept mentioning, see what the community wants. In my mind, that is extraordinarily difficult, sure. And I don't think it should be taken lightly. To see what the community wants, I don't want you to answer now, but you need to give that thought. The people who show up at meetings are not the community. It's a segment of the community.
Correct.
You have to listen to them, you have to respect them. For example, take the library.
I'll go as far as listen. Go ahead.
Take the library vote. There are 4,437 registered voters in Woodstock. 500 came out.
Right,
Right. 500 came out.
10%.
11%. 11%. 9% voted yes, 2% voted no. Some people think that's the community. Some people think that's the fringe of the community. So my only statement is, I surely don't know the answer, but when you look at the vast demographics in Woodstock, on almost any characteristic, to capture that community is not an easy task. So when you say, let's see what the community wants, at some point I would like to understand the process to get that information.
Well, a process that was used in the past for, meetings and surveys mailed to every resident of the town. Now there's social media that can augment that outreach. So my guess is that there would be a mailed survey, and there would also be an established site, for people to email their whatever their thoughts and feelings are about topics. But your point is very well taken. But with elections,
I'm saying
you have to
that.
remember something about elections. I know this is true with people, I'm not sure if it's true with propositions, but I suspect that it is, like propositions whether or not to, yes or no on a budget. With people, it is not the best man or woman that wins the election. It's the best candidate. There's a big difference there. And so it's, with propositions, I suspect it's kind of the same thing. It's not necessarily the best proposition, but, the best presentation or whatever.
Right.
That wins. So,
But
yes,
I just have my doubts on whatever road you take. I think it's a great idea to get what the community wants, or needs, or requires, or requests. That is really the net of the game, and that will make everything simple.
You're never going to pierce indifference. If people are indifferent, or disinterested, then
Right.
you'll never pierce that.
Right, right. So they're a segment. You just ignore
Yeah.
that segment.
Yeah.
You have to ignore that segment. But that segment could actually be a majority of the community.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes, because everybody's living in a B&B.
But at least we will have made the effort
Right,
to invite everyone to participate.
right, which is important.
But I think you were right at the library meeting, it was obvious how many people were gray and white hair. I mean, there was an older segment of the community
Right,
that
that
was
was the
there.
segment. I brought this point up at the
Well, you did
library.
bring it up, I remember.
Right, right.
So, I mean, yes, to try and reach the younger portion of the community would be crucial.
Right. Especially
Maybe
the
we should go
teens,
to your high
the
school
twenties. Who's selecting their input?
You need to.
They're a segment, they're a segment.
Yeah.
Bring back the pinball parlor.
Yeah, not on
Sorry,
my
it's a
block,
yoga
thank
studio.
you. I lived with the pinball palace for
Yeah.
10 years on Deming Street, thank you.
Oh, right.
That and the Joyous Lake. I won the lottery, I'll tell you.
Are you gonna let Jay talk about trees now?
Yes, why don't you have to talk about
Okay,
Want me
thank
to
you.
announce some?
I'm gonna
Yes,
be-
I'm sorry, more announcements, I'm sorry.
No trees yet.
I
Would you
tried,
please sit down?
I tried,
At least
Jay.
they'll get to you.
So, okay, well, my turn?
You want to talk about it?
Yeah, so Jeremy's in there.
No.
Yes.
Should I take a turn?
Yes, take it
Okay.
away.
Well, I just want to remind everybody, today is primary day. I understand the Democrats and the Green Party have primaries. It is well covered in the Woodstock Times, not only the article in the Woodstock Times, but also letters to the editor. So if you have not yet, if you're I don't know about the Green Party candidate in the Woodstock Times, but I can say for sure the Democrat was covered. So if you're a Democrat and have not yet made it to the polls today, 9 o'clock, the polls are open till 9 o'clock, and there is a primary and 2 positions on the ballot. So the Woodstock Times does talk about them, as do the letters to the editor of the Woodstock Times. And I guess also, I just wanted to bring up 2 other topic is, I know a couple of us were at that library meeting on Saturday. It was a very good meeting. The library board, I'm not an official liaison or anything, but I was there just to share with the community that it was a very good session. They brought in some professionals to look at, they brought forward several ideas. They elicited, for the attendees, elicited conversations about the ideas. They're really in an information gathering session right now, information gathering phase, which I think is great because it seems in the last go-around they jumped into a solution and tried to push it at everybody as opposed to stepping back and really information gathering and hearing what people in the community have to say. And Jay's point was very good, as Kathy and Jay both noticed. Jay did make the point at the meeting that, well, you've only got a segment once again, but what you did have is people that were interested enough to come out and share their opinions, and at least you're starting somewhere. So you're starting with a group to gather opinions, and it was a good information sharing session. So that was my interpretation of the library session on Saturday. Information gathering, a good start in terms of hearing what people had to say.
Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, I am the liaison. Yeah. And I thought the architects did a grand job of presenting the history and where we want to move from the old to the new and getting public opinion for the people who were there. It was a very good presentation.
To me, as long as they save the horse. As long as they save the horse. And the children's reading them. That's all I care about.
You cannot design by committee.
Well, I'll tell you,
So
I'll express a personal opinion about the library and its mission. If I were to write its mission statement, I would just anecdotally relate to everybody that more than 60 years ago, in that very same library, sitting on, apparently his name is Pete the horse. I don't remember who it was, but somebody taught me the pleasure of reading. And all I can tell the people, and I especially say this to the young, is that as you get older, more and more what was once pleasurable becomes less. You can't drink as much, you can't smoke as much, you can't just about anything as much.
Exactly.
But reading never diminishes as a pleasure. The person who gifts you with finding pleasure in reading has given you a gift that will last you, live to be 100 years old. So to me, the mission of the library, more than anything, is first of all, save a horse. Don't do anything with that horse, but just preserve and initiate programs that will teach the pleasure of reading. And there you've done it. And whether you do it in a huge hall or if you do it in a tiny little back room, that you have served your community in the future more than any other kind of architecture or plans could possibly do. So.
Jeremy, if I could just say one thing, I agree
Yes.
with you. I've had conversation after conversation with my daughter about libraries and stuff like that. My daughter loves to read. She's a reader, and thank God, that was one thing that she picked up. But when Jay's saying the people at the vote were elderly people, the people at the sessions are elderly people, so far to me, that library needs to prove a little bit more. They need to figure out how to get young people at that session. So until they get that cross of people, you're going to get the same, what's going to happen? The older people are just going to get older, they're going to be gone, and that library is just going to go kaput. There's going to be absolutely no interest in it. So until they can get to the point of, and I don't know what it is. I mean, right now you've got so much electronics and stuff that kids don't have to go to a library. They can get everything they want with the touch of a finger. It's right there. So where is the library going to play in this? Bring in more computers so people can sit there and, I don't think that's the way to go. But they do, I think, books and reading, and they might have to get Nooks and Kindles and that kind of stuff so that people can use it that way rather than a hardcover book. But yeah, until they start getting some young people at any of these sessions, I don't think they've gone anywhere with an idea.
That's a problem throughout town. I mean, look, I'm going great.
Yeah.
You, Junior?
Where's it called?
Not me.
That's because of the time. Young people have families, they can't spare the time. They're working, two people working,
That's-
they have kids.
It's not,
And
that's,
that's a lot of why they don't
That's-
show up at
Yeah.
these things.
That's very true.
that is true, Iris, but I was 38 when I ran the first time, and I was 8 years younger when I joined the ZBA. No, even more, I forget what it was.
And the fire department.
So,
Yeah, but
I was
talking
lucky, okay.
right, I mean, you're an exception. I'm not
Right.
saying every single young
Right.
person, but
Right.
for the most part, that's why they don't show up.
No, I
because of
get it.
family commitments.
Yeah. But somehow we have to.
We
make
had to
it-
go to the library, if you remember. I don't know if you remember.
You didn't have
with me,
those.
But we had certain books we had to go and read, so we had to go to the library to go find it. Now, whatever they're teaching them in school, whatever book, whatever classics, Steinbeck, whoever they want them to read, they can find it right on their,
On the Nook.
on
They
their
don't-
Kindle,
you
yeah.
know,
And it hasn't been picked through, and it hasn't had pages torn on it, and somebody chewing on it and everything else, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
But still, there's this library journal that rates libraries according to their budgets. And this library journal rates them no stars to 5 stars. And there are libraries that have 5 stars. And I always write letters in the Woodstock Times about this. And
No.
Red Hook Library is a 5-star. I happen to go to Red Hook
Did
Library,
they rate our library?
3-star.
Mhm.
You walk in, you're in a library, there's a certain ambiance that will encourage reading, that will encourage discovery, that will encourage education. There's an ambiance there. There's a lot of kids that don't have that learning ambiance in their homes, in the streets, in the youth center. You need to create that ambiance. This is why I say, you can't create that by committee. You have to have one person. You can't do any art by committee. This is interior design.
And move those computers to the back of the room. That's not
Move the
should be the
computers
first
to the
thing that they
back.
see when they go in there.
And if anybody's in Red Hook, walk into that library. I think it's not only ambiance, they rate them on different things, you know, on circulation, on programs, and they're like 200% better than Woodstock on certain aspects of this. So there are models, there are examples, there are, as Jackie says, ways to get the kids off the streets with certain programs that would be very, it would resonate for their interests.
Right.
And it may not be Steinbeck, who knows? It may be how you grow marijuana in Rhode Island. But if that brings them to the library, let's do it.
They'll have to read it.
Shady.
Why would they need to go to Rhode Island?
You know this guy, Billy Schufeld? Billy Schufeld, he's a local guy, he used to work for me, you know, just trees and stuff. He says he's going to Rhode Island to grow medical. Of course, they put medical marijuana. But you gotta find topics that resonate with kids, whatever it might be, and we may not agree with it, but that's the segment we need to focus on.
Yeah, I think they've done a good job with our summer camp, Woodstock Library. I know we're sending them a big letter of thank you. Instead of us having to go to the library came to the camp.
Right,
And that was a big move
right.
on their part.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Janet or whoever, you know, I think it was Janet. I think she's coming with some fresh ideas.
Good for them.
And, but that was great, and it takes a lot of responsibility off us, because instead of moving 100 kids
Right.
through the town, they can bring whatever they have there, so. Are you ready, Jake?
I'm ready whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna be brief. So, I understand the concerns about spending town money, as Jay was saying, on plans. But I'm here to tell you how to get money. And I have a quick 3-step process to get money from New York State. So it's a 3-step process, but I'm going to start with step 3. Because step 3 is where the money is. And the money is grants from New York State, the Forestry Department, to, and they hand out money to take inventories, to maintain trees, to plant trees, to make trees important in a community. Now, you may know George Profis. He's our interface, the tree committee's interface. By the way, I'm here representing Michael Beach. Michael Beach is the chairman. He's off on personal business, so so you have to deal with me. So I had the email from George Profis, and just to raise interest, again, this is step 3. This is our goal. Our goal is step 3 to get that money. And he says just a sentence: urban and community forest grants will be much greater this year. It talks about this year, it's talking about 2017. So we need to get our application in for these grants. The first grant is 100% to do inventory of the trees, and as you know, that is the most important step. And then there's other funding to do these other activities with trees. So that brings us to step 2. How do we apply for this? So we're ready to apply, but one of the key criteria that they look at, one of the points that they want to see in a community is that they are a member of Tree City. And there's reasons for this Tree City. So this is step 2, to get involved in Tree City. And why Tree City? Because Tree City motivates the town to do certain things that's very attractive to the New York State Forestry. And I use the acronym CALF, C-A-L-F. That's how I remember it these days. C is the tree committee is looking for a community that has a tree committee, and that's actively involved with the community about issues, resolutions, solutions about the trees in a community. And so we have that. We have a good, and Jay's our liaison into the tree committee. Then the second thing is, and they're very simple things, but we cover them all. The second thing is Arbor Day event. And if you recall, this is the first time we had this Arbor Day event. We had some education at the community center, and then we had some activities with the youth center, and we had trees, we planted some trees, handed out some trees, etc. The next one that the Tree City's looking for is ordinances and tree laws, which we have. We have all these things. I'm just summing up what the tree committee is looking for, because this gives the state, say, hey, this is a serious town. We have laws, we have ordinances, I think it's, chapter 217, you can read it. The last one is the town should be funding some of these events. And we do have funding, I think it's $40,000, and Mike Reynolds is getting rid of all the ash trees, and he's doing a good job
There
doing
was
it.
another, I forget, I think it was 8,000 in the general fund.
So now we're gonna go to step one, and this is the end one. So step one, how do we get, into the, how do we get as a member of Tree City? And it's a simple application. And so, but this application has to come from the town. We already have all the criteria in place. We have the 4 criteria in place. So step one is that in order to get to the Tree City, to get to this New York State funds, the step one where we're at now is that the town needs to pass a resolution just to give permission to submit an application, be a member of Tree City. And we're hoping you can pass that resolution tonight. I don't know if you've seen it or haven't seen it, I can pass it out.
Is there a membership fee?
Well, that,
There's no membership fee. This is the resolution.
yes, that's the resolution from the tree committee recommending the town board adopt the resolution.
Yes, this is the resolution for, and the supervisor can, Jeremy, you can submit the application with the assistance of the tree committee.
Right.
And we would like this resolution to be passed tonight. We would like to get that application.
Give one to the press.
Did I give you? Okay, here's one.
Here,
You know it.
because I have one in the office.
Here, okay. So this is the first step. This is why I started backwards. The first step, with the first domino, will get the other steps in place. So we get the resolution, we'd like to get this done tonight. Then we'll get the application for the funding for the grants from New York State as soon as it opens. It hasn't opened yet, but as I read with George Profist, he said it was going to be open soon, and he says that it's going to be bigger than usual. Because last year, I think they missed it. So I think they're going to make up this year. So there's no downside, there's no fees, there's no, in fact, tree committee will give us signs, we put signs up, Woodstock's member of tree committee, Tree City, excuse me. And then that will give us the gold star, more or less, or the criteria to optimize our chances to get funding from the state. So that's it. Thank you. So I hope you read.
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Yeah, sure.
So if you're a member of Tree City, are you a member, is the town member for life, or you have to do an annual renewal, or
No, as long as you maintain those 4 criteria,
you're automatically renewed? So-
automatically, right. This
Yeah.
doesn't cost anything. You don't have to put in new applications, but you need to maintain those 4 criteria.
Which you would have to prove anytime you wanted to apply for a grant. That's how they would know.
Well, no. As soon as you become a member of Tree City and you get that recognition, then when you apply for the grant, you say, we are members of Tree City, and that gives you sort of the extra bounce for, in other words, being a member of Tree City isn't mandatory to go for grants.
Right.
But it's
Increases the
highly recommended, because it shows that you're serious about it, because you got those 4 other things in place.
Yeah, but I guess, so the root of my question is, if you're a member of Tree City, does that come along with any obligations that we should know about? I know there's no fee. Are there any obligations we should know about? Or do you have to submit proof periodically that you're doing these 4 things?
Well, again, the obligation is you have to have law, those 4 things. You have to have laws on the books. You have to have, you have to spend
Committee
money.
and Arbor
I think
Day.
it's $2, you have to have an Arbor Day. I think it's $2 per
Yeah,
capita.
laws are.
What's our capita, by the way, 6,000?
Just under, yeah.
Yeah, so all we really need to invest is $2 per capita, so all we really have to invest is $12,000 a year, but we're doing $48,000 a year, or
Just
40.
the highway's so-called brush fund is what it's called in the highway budget.
So we would have to be putting $12,000 a year towards
Towards tree maintenance.
towards tree maintenance. So an obligation we would have, there's no fee to be part of this, but we would have to be putting forth 12,000 euros tree
Exactly right.
maintenance.
Which we're way ahead now, we're, what do we got, 40,000 now? So we're,
Does it start new every year?
you mean to maintain,
You know what, listen, we
That's
certainly have it this year, we're gonna have it in
Yeah.
next year's.
Yeah, I
budget.
think we'll
say
have it every
join,
year.
get the money, if they wanna throw us out the year after, let it, you know, in the meantime.
there's no, this is the key point. There is no downside for the town. There's no cost to the town. There's no fee for the application. There's no charges for anything. In fact, they give us nice,
Yeah,
beautiful
what about
signs.
postage?
So, yeah, we get two beautiful, we get two big posters to put where the, you
No, I
know,
said postage,
oh,
who's
post.
paying for that?
Oh. Postage.
Depends on your salary.
Jay said he'd donate.
Jay, would take it.
I'll be happy to do it. I have plenty of extras.
I'll split it with you, Jay.
So I think that there's no downside, only an upside, and I hope you consider this and pass it to that, and then we get that application in, hopefully as soon as possible.
Yeah, get it to my office. so I
Get
can-
the application in for this, and then even if the grants come and we haven't got our Tree City yet, we could always state we have the application in for Tree City for the funding from the state. Now remember, the funding comes from the state, not from the city.
Would you, Jay, would you mention the names of the other members of the tree committee?
Oh,
You want me to do that? Well,
Yeah.
What's your acronym for that?
Just two
I
of
can't say it with the camera. So it's myself, it's Jay, these are members, it's Michael Veach, who's the chairman, and it's Ed Sanders,
It said,
who is
Yeah.
always there with intelligent remarks. It's a nice committee, I enjoy the committee, it's a good group of people.
the flower.
Well, thank you for bringing this forward, Jay. Thank you for bringing this forward.
My pleasure, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Make sure we do some business. Be it resolved to appoint Officer Christopher Benson, permanent full-time police officer for the town of Woodstock at $20.80 per hour effective August 10, 2016.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Be
Can
resolved-
I say a quick
Yes.
question? So it's retroactive, apparently.
Yes.
Is there, so he's been working probably full-time since then, and we just, I mean, it's not a problem, I'm just curious.
Well, we appointed him provisional full-time officer some time ago when, and I forget which officer now it was, that we talked, we
Oh,
resigned
okay,
from the
but
town.
since it's just making it permanent and you
This
said.
is making it
Okay.
permanent, he had to,
Physical.
he had to pass his physical, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Be it resolved to appoint Anna Brandt, liaison to the Ulster County Environmental Management Council.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved pursuant to a recommendation from the tree committee to authorize the supervisor of the tree committee assistants to submit an application for membership in Tree City USA.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
That's all our business.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think we all talked out, yes?
Yes. Go
You
vote.
don't have any announcements?
Yes, go vote.
You're the only one.
Vote.
Yes, go vote. We didn't Get the clock.
So, okay.
So thank you, everybody. Move to
Thank
adjourn.
you, take care.
Second.
Bye.
In favor?
Aye.
do you need that, Jack?
Is she open for business?